Welcome in, everybody, to the Season 2 premiere of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB, Zack Brown, and joining with me, as always, to give the crew chief side of things, former 410 Sprint Car crew chief, Jeff Brown joins me. Dad, how you doing?
Doing well. Happy New Year. Getting ready to get some racing going again for this year.
Well, we're kicking this off live across multiple platforms for the first time. Figure we do it in a big way. Make sure you look up on the corner there. We got a little bit of a sponsor now. It's called Bet Stamp, and they organize all of sports betting needs. We'll talk about that later, but glad to have them aboard. They definitely wanted to have something for the racing community, so definitely going to give them a couple shout-outs and explain how all that works and when it gets closer to racing season. So, Dad, we're doing this because we wanted to get one in before the Chili Bowl, and that, for us, kind of marks the start of racing season, if you will.
Yeah, it's another one of the things people talk about NASCAR having their biggest races of the year, the first race of the season, and this is pretty much the Daytona 500 for dirt midget racing is the Chili Bowl, which is, for those that don't know, it is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you're thinking, okay, January. This whole thing is inside. This is one of the tracks I would love to see. It's just got to be a massive, massive building. Not only is the track and all the stands inside, the pit area and everything is inside. So it's quite the spectacle. I mean, it takes up the whole entire week. And that's just for the Chili Bowl. They have Tulsa shootouts and everything else going on with the micros and three-quarter midgets and things like that going on so far.
Yeah, they just finished up or are finishing up the Tulsa shootout. You had drivers like Kyle Busch joined it, and he actually went for a wild ride in the middle of the Tulsa shootout. He was obviously fine, but so you get the most talented drivers in the world, and doesn't necessarily mean they're going to whip everybody, because it is a whole new world racing those cars.
Yeah, for sure. And there's for the Chili Bowl, there's probably going to be close to 200 race cars going for a 25 car starting field. So it's everything has to go right to win it. But I mean, you're talking top guys that have won this thing: Kyle Larson, Tony Stewart, Sammy Swindell, Jason Leffler's won the thing. I know Casey Kane's run in it. I mean, just anybody is a who's who in almost all forms of motor racing has been in this race. Even Chase Elliott ran it a couple years ago.
Yeah, and this is a huge deal. This race is a big time race for anyone racing in dirt racing. Actually, in racing in general, it is you could definitely say it's one of the crown jewels. Probably the crown jewel in midget racing, and one of them in dirt racing as a whole. So it's big time bragging rights, if you will. It doesn't pay the most, but it is very iconic. And Kyle Larson said that was probably the biggest win. This was before he won the Cup Championship, but this was the biggest win of his career when he won it. So you could just see how much that means to everyone. Yeah,
for sure. And Kyle Larson was, he was pretty vocal last year and not running the Chili Bowl because he thinks it should pay more money, and I completely agree, because they want to put this on the same level as Knoxville Nationals or some of the races at Eldora. They did up the purse this year. I believe it's $20,000 to win, but Knoxville Nationals pays $175,000 to win or something like that.
You're there all week long for a midget race, and it only pays $20,000 to win. And for those that don't know, there's over 300 entries once again for this whole thing. So there's no guarantee that you're even going to make any type of money at this thing.
Yeah, I mean, the only person that's probably going to make any kind of money is going to be the driver if they win. The car owner's not going to make any kind of money off this thing. Even these things are, four-cylinder race cars. They are not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. So it costs to fuel the car without having any problems. You're probably looking at almost $10,000 just for the whole week in time, fuel, tires, wear and tear on the equipment.
For sure.
Not to mention paying your crew.
And if for those that want to kind of understand what the Chili Bowl is and what it means to people, go check out the series Dirt on YouTube, Flow Racing, anything, anywhere you can find it. It starts off talking about the Chili Bowl and how significant of a race that is to all these drivers, and how just focused in they are to get these wins, and how disappointed they are if they don't make the cut. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, that's actually a really good series. It's very enjoyable. It follows Kyle Larson, Timez, and Tyler Courtney around through their career, starting with the Chili Bowl, and then it breaks off into sprint cars. So it's definitely an entertaining series to watch.
Well, for anybody that's tuning in live, make sure you drop in the chat any questions you might have, anything you want to talk about, us to touch on. We have a couple guests coming on, one at 10:30, and we'll talk to him about it in a minute. He had a big announcement just the other day. Our new full-time ARCA driver, Caleb Costner, he's coming on at 10:30, and 11 o'clock, National Sprint Car Hall of Famer Lance Dewease is coming on. So if you got any questions for those drivers, make sure you ask in the comments. We'll talk to them about it, and just have some fun previewing the upcoming year. It's going to be definitely an exciting year in racing. It was great last year, and I don't expect anything less. I actually expect a lot more fireworks happening this year.
Yeah, there's a lot new happening. You know, basically we have a new racing series taking on the World of Outlaws this year. That has been tried before and did not succeed, but I don't think they had the backing that, you know, Kyle Larson and Brad Sweet are going to put into this thing. So that's definitely going to be an interesting, whether or not they can coexist or one's going to try to put the other one out. We're going to see how that happens, and we can probably talk a little bit about that then when that time comes up.
Yeah, and just real quick, I don't know if anyone's going to put one out the other. I think the High Limit's going to put the Outlaws out. You already lost Brad Sweet, who is a 5-time in a row champion. So you lost your defending champion, which actually David Gravel's happy about, because now he doesn't have to finish behind Brad Sweet in the championship standings. But with the purses and how much they're doing the high stakes midweek races that they still have that are humongous purses, I like the style that they're doing, and I think they're doing it the right way. They're making sure like even the little teams have a chance to make some good money.
Yeah, the one nice thing is, you know, we had the Outlaws and the All-Star Circuit of Champions, and no disrespect to anybody that ran either one, but you know, the class of cars at the All-Star Circuit of Champions was slightly below most of the Outlaw teams. I mean, there were some of the top guys that could win Outlaw races at any time. So now with the High Limit Series buying the All-Stars and taking over that thing, and they signed some of their top drivers to come full-time, I think that's huge. So it's, you know, we got Brad Sweet going full-time, Rico Abreu going full-time, Brent Marks going full-time. I'm sure there's others I don't have off the top of my head, but that's, you know, definitely it's definitely going to be a series to watch, I believe.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting year. And we're going to have a fun time on the podcast. So let us know what kind of differences you want to do. One thing we're trying out to kind of get ready and get started for the year, some fun things. Kind of maybe you guys can let us know what you think as well. We've got essentially a NASCAR driver coming on here in a little while, and they race obviously on asphalt. So what I talked to you about and what I wanted to kind of premiere is a top 5 list throughout the season, and we're going to do 2 of them to kick off this podcast and this live show. But Dad, let's go over our top 5 all-time bucket list asphalt tracks, and not just tracks but races in general. So what are the top 5 races that you think that are on asphalt, starting at number 5, working way up?
I didn't actually put these in any kind of order necessarily, but if I had to order them, number 5 is going to be the Little 500 in Anderson, Indiana. For those who don't know what it is a 500-lap asphalt sprint car race. I think it's like a quarter-mile track, and they do up to 2 or 3 pit stops during the thing, refuel the cars. I think it's 33 cars, just like the Indy 500. I believe they even start 3 abreast, 11 rows of 3. I think it's one of the neatest little tracks that I don't think a lot of people talk about it, but I think that's definitely a sight to see.
When do they race that?
I believe it's right before the Indy 500.
Okay, so it's a big week, that whole week.
Yeah.
All right.
It's either the day before or the week before, so it's right in May. So it's definitely during the month of May.
All right, what's the next one you would put up there?
We're going to switch a little bit, go straight line. I got the U.S. Nationals in Indianapolis, Indiana, and that's NHRA drag racing. That's their crown jewel of the year. I think that's definitely one that's really something to see at all the cars. And one nice thing, good friend of mine, Denny Stewart, he actually won the, I don't remember which class he was running, but he actually did win the U.S. Nationals a couple of years ago. Maybe we'll get him on the show one of these weeks and talk about that win.
That's awesome. All right, next one.
All right, next one I got, and that's funny. We got 4 of my top 5 are all in the state of Indiana. The next one is the Brickyard 400.
Okay.
Now that NASCAR is coming back to run the oval at Indy, I think that's another one to see. They got away from that. When they first had the Brickyard, they were not selling near as many seats because I believe it probably would have outsold the Indy 500. When the NASCAR came to it, the Indy 500 was kind of on a downtrend a little bit, and so they only sold about half the seats, and they sold out within minutes. And then that, for whatever reason, they had some really bad racing and tire issues, and they kind of got away from it. Went to the road course there, which is stupid. Lots of the cars go the wrong way down the front stretch, just not right. But
yeah,
back to the normal Brickyard 400, I think that would definitely be another one to see.
For sure. That's a big one. All right, and I think our top 2 is probably going to be the same. So which one are you putting at 2? And these could probably be interchangeable.
Yeah. I got the Daytona 500, number 2.
Okay.
I've been to Daytona. We've been to Talladega. I have not been to the 500, so I think just the whole spectacle and pageantry of that race would be something to see. I'm only 2 hours away from the track, so that's one nice thing. So definitely one of these ones we're definitely going to have to hit up.
Yeah, I mean, if I try to go to it, it'll rain.
So in the top of my list, and we're going to knock this one off this year, thanks to you, we are going to be going to the Indy 500 this year.
Yeah, a little Merry Christmas present for us.
Yeah, so, I mean, as everyone watching knows, so, we're Kyle Larson fans. Larson is going to be pulling the double. Hopefully run all 1,100 miles. We're going to have 1,100 miles of drinking. We got to get back and watch the 600 race to see him get there. But yeah, for the never been inside the speedway before, so that's definitely really looking forward to going to that race. I think that is going to be an absolute blast.
Yeah, they say there's nothing like it. Just for the people watching, how many people does Indianapolis Motor Speedway hold, especially for 500?
I think they can put 400,000 or 500,000 in there.
That is absolutely insane. So I think the outer grandstands hold about 250,000 because it goes all the way around the track.
Yeah, it goes all the way around.
And we are going to be on the front stretch, the start of the front stretch right after you get past turn 4, and that's where a lot of action happens right off of turn 4 because you get the final push to passes to make the pass to get to the finish line. If they finish under green, a lot of times you see them finish under caution because they don't do green, white checkers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just think the whole spectacle is going to be awesome. Mother Nature, please, for the love of God, work on our side because this is something we've always wanted to do. I think it's something everybody should do once in their lifetime. And with Larson Racing in it, it's that pushed me over the edge to go to it.
Yeah, and just I think they said during race day, the racetrack becomes the second largest city in Indiana.
Yeah.
So at 500,000, just to give you an idea how big that track is, it's a 2.5 mile, and it's kind of a rectangle-shaped oval. They have 9 holes of the golf course inside the racetrack with tons of room to spare. They could, so it is a big track. There's going to be a lot of camping. It's going to be an absolute blast. I can't wait to do this.
Well, and you were talking about we are going to get back to the hotel and watch the 600. I can't imagine because we're going to be straight up exhausted after just watching a race. I can't imagine how Larson's going to be racing that race, heading into the Coke 600 and racing that one because I'll be shocked if we don't need to get a power nap in or something just from watching it. So that's a testament. If that doesn't tell you how these guys are legitimately athletes, I don't know what will.
Well, the also difference, Larson's not going to be drinking like we're going to be during the Indy 500, so that's...
yeah, I mean, hopefully he'll drink some milk at the end.
That would be awesome. I know last time, I guess it was Kurt Busch that did it. I know he was getting IV fluids on the plane back to Charlotte to rehydrate and everything. Yeah. So,
and it's probably what, an hour and a half helicopter flight?
Well, they'll be he'll helicopter out. He'll probably go to Hendrick's jet and then fly right into probably into Concord.
All right, so that's your top 5. So let me get into my top 5, and it's these are my top 5 bucket list, and I didn't even think about those smaller tracks like that. I mean, you've got the smaller tracks. You got the July 4th tradition of South Boston Speedway having their big-time race up there. So shout out to South Boston. Make sure you go check them out. I've had their GM on here on the show before. Awesome guy, awesome track. Looking forward to eventually getting up there because that is an iconic track too. But starting at number 5, and most of this is NASCAR. And I was debating about the NHRA too because I was thinking possibly about including the 4-wide nationals, like 4-wide Carolina Nationals, because that's where the 4-wide began, and that's a pretty big step for NHRA having 4 lanes at one time. So that was a big deal when that debuted. Always an exciting race. We were there for the 2-wide in the fall, seeing just how much power there is with that. 4-wide, it's just unbelievable. But at number 5, I have the Coca-Cola 600, the longest race that NASCAR has. Used to be the World 600. And if it doesn't tell you how iconic it is and how much it means to people, Ryan Blaney, when he won it last year, I mean, that he was straight up in tears and he was jumping with the crowd and get all hyped up to get through and just to get the endurance part through and the mental capability of these drivers goes a long way to win it. You got to have the Coke 600 for me at number 5 in the top 5. And it's a great spectacle. It used to be really, really cool. 15 years ago when they still had 100-some thousand people there. It still sells out now, but the other race, it doesn't sell out anymore, so why keep all those stands and lose the money? But it is still a great spectacle. Memorial Day Sunday, just an awesome, awesome race. The next one I have at number 4, I have, and I just put in general because it could change from time to time, the NASCAR Championship race. You're racing for all the marbles. You're racing for the championship. Obviously, right now it would be Phoenix, but they could change it up. But no, I think no matter where you are, it is a whole different atmosphere racing for a championship, and in the highest echelon of racing. So that's got to be top 5, especially for me. Seeing that. I don't really have any more.
Even the race at Phoenix would just be a fun track to go to.
Yeah, and they say Phoenix is such a fun city too, and a really cool city to be in. That's probably why they have the championship there, because it is a beautiful city and it draws in.
I've been there once and it rained.
It would rain if we went. So my number 3. So I'm kind of highlighting a lot of Memorial Day weekend races, and this is in Formula One. The Monaco Grand Prix. Is it a boring race? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is it iconic, though? Is it a bucket list race? 100%. Will we ever be able to go to that? No. I
Not
can
about
barely
winning the
afford to
lottery.
watch it for free on there. So just you see it, especially if you get a nice sunny day, which they didn't have last year. It was kind of partially rain. It was seeing the yachts, seeing the beautiful infrastructure of Monaco, and also Iron Man was there too, so that helps. In Iron Man 2, if nobody gets that reference. But
Yeah.
awesome Memorial Day race. And that's how we kick off our Memorial Day Sundays, is turning on Monaco. So I think that is such an iconic race. And we don't even watch Formula One really, but that is one that we actually always tune into. Number 2, so yes, my top 2 are the same as yours, but I changed them up. So number 2, I have the Indianapolis 500. And the only reason I have that below the Daytona 500, spoiler alert, that's number 1, is just because NASCAR is the most popular sport in the world, motorsport in the world. And that's the only thing that it has on IndyCar. The Indianapolis 500, we get to check that off this year. And now once we get to see both of them, might change my mind, because we'll see how different the spectacle is between the two. I'm excited, obviously, for May. It's going to be awesome time. And we'll probably do some trackside stuff, so you guys stay tuned for that. But, yeah, I have the Indianapolis 500 at my number 2, and the Daytona 500 is my number 1 of my top 5 bucket list asphalt tracks. Again, NASCAR, the highest tier of racing there is in the world. When Junior won it in 2014, I believe, for Hendrick, I was pumping my fist. I was running around. I was in my college apartment. I was just hyped up. Nobody understood why. Like some drunk asshole up there. What is your problem? Junior just won the Daytona 500. They're like, cool. I'm like, no, you don't understand. For me, that was essentially like the Eagles winning the damn Super Bowl. So,
Right.
And the Daytona 500 is the Super Bowl of NASCAR.
Yeah, see, now our bucket lists were a little different. When you asked to do a bucket list, I personally did the ones that I have not seen before that I wanted to see. That's why I didn't, I thought about like the 4 wides, drags, and, some of the other things, or the Coke 600, which we have seen in person.
Yeah.
So I might have to rethink my my dirt top 5.
Well, if you want to, we don't have to. Yeah, we don't have to get into the dirt top 5 right now, because in about 5 minutes we've got an ARCA series full-time driver now coming on. So for anybody that doesn't know, the ARCA Menards series is, you could say, kind of like the USFL of NASCAR type thing, like almost like the semi-pro, if you will, right before you get into the top 3 series.
It's a stepping stone into, the next step up would be the NASCAR trucks.
Yeah.
In my mind, I think would be the next step up.
And Caleb actually got an opportunity in the truck series, so this will now him announcing a full-time with his own race team, that can propel him to have even more opportunities in the top NASCAR series. So excited for him. We will talk to him about that. Real quick, I just want to give a quick shout out to BetStamp, and I'm going to read their ad read, and it might sound cheesy, but I'm excited to have them on board. So you guys check them out. I put on the screen the website to go to for all the sports betting stuff that is particular to my link and everything. So sports betting, it's rapidly risen in popularity, and we want to connect you all with an opportunity to get started and get ahead, especially in motorsports. Having multiple sportsbook accounts is the simplest way to maximize your profits, and there's never been a better time to sign up. When you visit my page, signupexpert.com/ZB, you'll be connected to all the sportsbooks in your region, along with a review of each platform and its unique benefits. All these sportsbooks have valuable sign-up offers for new users, and when you register through my link, you'll automatically receive the top offer for each one. And when you use multiple sports books, you ensure that you can always access the best available odds, which is key to successful sports betting. If you want to take advantage of these benefits and support this brand, please consider signing up for your next sportsbook at signupexpert.com/ZB. Big shout out to BetStamp coming on board and allowing us to talk about that. And people don't really bet a whole lot on racing, and that's something they're trying to work on. They have NASCAR right now, and they're working on possibly going into the World of Outlaws, because that is a national touring series, so that is something they have been discussing. So, yeah, I mean, I don't drop a whole lot of money because I'm a cheap ass, and I usually don't win. But when you get to have that stuff and you get to organize it, it's always nice. So, wanted to give them a shout out because they came on board. They've been on the football podcast that I have. I've been giving them quite a little bit of shout outs on there too. And sportsbook betting in North Carolina is actually about to go live, so that's dangerous. But
yeah, they just passed the law where sports betting is legal here in Florida now.
Well, I just got confirmed by Lance himself. He'll be ready at by 11, so he'll come on then. So let's see if we can get Caleb on. So let me ring him up real quick.
That's good. There's some interesting stuff about Caleb I'm going to ask him and see how this goes. It's
yeah, you don't usually get to do these guest stuff. Look at you.
No, it's nice because we'll find out here. I'll save my questions for him when he comes on.
Yeah, and again, it's awesome seeing the small town team get opportunities like this to race in a national touring series that could.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. I rarely watch the ARCA races, but he was on your show, and so when he was running, I did tune in, and the races that he ran in, he was very competitive. He was probably more competitive than what his finish. I think he was kind of on the conservative side a little bit, making sure he finished as many laps as he possibly could. There was some. I think he could have probably picked up a few more spots on some of those races. I think and he was fast enough. So with a little more experience, I think he'll do very well.
Yeah, I mean he was actually the Charlotte race. The biggest thing he did was stay out of trouble, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
And I was actually there trackside. They stayed up all night getting that car ready because they had a tire blow at Talladega, and you can't control those things. He could have finished top 5 at Talladega. That car was fast, and he was staying out of trouble. And there's nothing he could do. I mean, flat tires happen, and a little bit of racing is luck. So, and we'll talk to him. He's gonna be racing Daytona here in a little bit. And SVP's racing in it, if you didn't see that. I think it's SVP. SVG? Cheeseburger.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Gisenberg. I didn't mean to say Gisenberg. I'm sorry. Gisenberg.
Yeah.
I think that's his name or something like that.
He's running the ARCA at Daytona? I do remember seeing that.
And someone else is racing in it too. I saw they're racing in the practice races starting next week because I guess ARCA does a little bit of practice runs beforehand. He'll be joining us here in a second, so we're excited to see that. So you guys stay tuned. If you got some questions for him, definitely tune into that. And we'll try to get some more guests on here, so drop down below who you guys think should be a guest. And whenever I release this, this obviously is all live and all that fun stuff, but whenever you're going to work, if you can't catch us on YouTube or anything like that, we're going to be on Apple Podcasts. And look at this. Caleb Costner joins us right now. Newly full-time ARCA driver Caleb Costner joins the show. Caleb, how you doing, man?
I'm great, guys. How are y'all?
We're good. Hey, congratulations. Obviously the big news this week, being now a full-time ARCA Menards series driver. And how did that come about? And how... kind of behind the scenes, give a little quick touch on how all that came to fruition.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. No, it was a big announcement for us, for me personally, and then also for our team. Yeah, over the last couple of years, my life personally has been kind of wild, right? It's just I never thought that I would personally get to kind of live out some of the dreams I had per se, and kind of give up on those a very, very long time ago. And yeah, so I ended up getting back involved in late models a couple years ago, and about 3 years ago is when we made our first ARCA race, and I think that second or third race in, I met my partner, my now partner Aaron Weaver. He come on and sponsored a race, and we decided, hey, we didn't really have the best experience together with the team that we were with. And like, well, I told him I felt confident we could do it better. So from that moment forward, he was like, all right, well, let's go with it. So we did. He kind of gave me the reins, and I've kind of led with it ever since. And it's been brick by brick. It's nothing that can happen overnight. I mean, if you've got a lot of money or a lot of backing, sure, some of the things you can kind of expedite, maybe, but there's a lot of the process that you have to go and learn. And this industry, it is not for the weary. I mean, it's very doggy, dog world here. I mean, it's just, it's tough to be here and maintain. It's one thing to come in and run a couple races or a season or something and get out, but this is technically the third year I've been part of the series, and now going in our third season together as Costner Weaver Motorsports. 2022, we fielded a car for the first time at New Smyrna. Didn't really go as well, and we both, me and Aaron, both had our first child, and so we were just focused on building the team through that. And then Daytona last year was ultimately our goal of trying to make that happen, and or just getting to that level. And then we knocked off 7 races last year as a team. So that was a huge step in the right direction for us. It far exceeded, again, our expectations. And then, just little by little, we built along the way and put the right people in the right places. And every time that, we saw something that maybe would benefit our team in the long term, we tried to, make a deal to get it and, build on that. When we saw someone available, we'd have a conversation. I'm always reaching out to partners and do my own marketing. So we've been able to add, a bunch more new partners, and the ones we created last year, everyone who was involved last year is rejoining us for this year. So we're really excited about that on top of the new ones we're bringing on. So yeah, it's just, I don't know how everybody kind of tells me how they ask me how I feel, and it's just a dream, man. It's a dream, and I'm living it. So
listen, that is awesome. And I'm one that can tell you that, and for anybody watching, yeah, this dude is running around crazy during race day. He's every bit which way. He's got so much PR stuff to do. Yeah, it is really cool, man. We're extremely proud of you. I appreciate you actually coming on today and talk about it. But and you got Daytona coming up, and talk about getting prepared for that big race and what you've learned from your prior races last year to get you ready for this year.
Yeah, awesome. No, I mean, we're looking forward to it. We got a brand new car. Last year we made our car. It was a short track car. We made it kind of all purpose. It went to every race. And, this year we've got it's a Roush chassis from like 2 years ago. So pretty recent, up-to-date chassis as far as it goes. Got a lot of the new updates and things like that we'd like on there. But it's a really good car. It's a speedway car. So we feel really confident. I mean, from what we're taking to the track from last year to this year, it's 100% different. It's 100% it's just a better all-around car. So we're going to be able to put a better product on track. I've got a full-time crew chief this year. Like I said, we added him as an employee. I mean, we actually have a paid employee now at CW Motorsports, which is wild. Awesome. So, his idea, the thing to me was like, hey, you're the driver. You need to drive. And so, like, this last year, I don't know what that means. Like, I'm so used to having my hand in everything and, like, constantly having to do something. I don't know what so that will be a huge transition for me this year, just trying to, like, hey, he's got the process, he's handling it, and that'll give me hopefully more time to actually focus and study and be better on the track and do the things I need to do, at the track, talking to whoever I need to talk to, and really paying a lot more attention to what I want to do on tracks and things of that nature. But but Daytona is going to be the huge start for us. Next week is going to be huge. We're waiting to see how the weather plays out. Weather's kind of iffy right now, but we're going down there regardless. Hopefully we can get on track and that's the biggest thing. It's a brand new car to us. We're going to shake it down. Essentially, that's all we're doing. People can do that. Test is open. People can do whatever they want to do, per se, when it comes to, restrict your plates and stuff like that. And those numbers mean absolutely nothing on those charts. And a lot of those guys, it's a dream to even do that. I mean, again, it was a dream last year for me to do that. So, but our goal and team plan going into the test is purely to make sure our car is solid and ready for the Daytona weekend next month, next month, and be ready for the 500 weekend and be ready to roll. So, like I said, we're really confident about how we're starting the season off. We've got the CW001, the car we ran pretty much all last year. It's ready for Phoenix. It's in stages of getting ready for Phoenix. As soon as we come back from the test, as a matter of fact, it's got some final stuff that's going to do. We have a third car that's getting sent off the money. We come back from the test, and we're building a third car. It'll be a new car to us. It's another Gen 5 car. That's the one DL. Actually, we'll have a Yates motor in that car, and that'll be our short track car that he'll be in all the East races, and that'll probably be my short track car when he's not running East or some road course stuff for us. So it's going to be nice to have some options this year we didn't have. And we're small. We still got to take care of equipment. I mean, that's going to be a huge thing. We go to Daytona and something bad happens, it's going to set us back. I mean, it's going to cause us to work a lot harder than we want to work, right? But I mean, again, this isn't easy, and we're going to hopefully have a little luck on our side and just do good. And I've done my dangest to manage our equipment and keep it pretty clean. So hopefully we can kind of keep doing that and just kind of build from there. So
Well, and that's what, and Caleb, that joining us with us right now is my dad. He's a former sprint car crew chief and mechanic, and I've actually brought him on, I guess, full time, if you will, on this podcast.
Awesome.
Since the last time we talked, and he actually lives in Florida, not too far from Daytona, and he's actually got some things to ask you and see what you got coming up.
Okay.
Well, Caleb, thanks for coming on. Just so you know, just after you were on Zach's show last year, I would turn on ARCA, never really pay much attention to it. But having someone to root for made the races much more fun. We sat out there. We were out by the pool, had the Charlotte race on. We were cheering for you the whole time from Florida. So
awesome.
Congrats on your thing.
Thank you.
So with the full-time ARCA schedule, one thing I noticed, there are 2 dirt races this year.
There are.
Have you ever raced on dirt before, and how do you feel about those cars on the dirt tracks?
Yeah, so actually my main background, I mean, I've raced more races on dirt still today than I have asphalt. So my background growing up here with some of our hometown tracks, I mean, that was really the place and money I could go race. And so never really had the equipment to run as well as we wanted to. But, I learned a lot. And there's just something in that craft that translates. And so, I mean, if I am super excited about that as well. I mean, I probably more excited than I should be. But, it's one of those things that, because people are like, God, just being honest, people are like, God, we hate those races. From what I hear people, and not necessarily because of the race itself, but the damage it does to the equipment, overall. Those cars aren't meant to go on that track. So, when you got, cup cars and teams like, or, even ARC in the past, Benarini might not have to worry about things as much, but when we've got 3 cars at most, now we're talking, and then you take an Ilmore $75,000 motor and we're getting dirt in it, and it starts to, you're a little leery of what you're taking out there. But, I mean, personally, I'm excited. Is it the best interest of the team? Probably not, but I am definitely excited to see what I can do. I mean, I haven't been on dirt in about 3 years. I mean, I'm dying, itching for the opportunity to go back, and it's kind of cool that this opportunity would lead me back to that. So, yeah, even more so the this coming weekend, or the weekend of Michigan. We race at Michigan on Friday, and then it's a doubleheader that weekend and Sunday. I think it's Springfield. We race that Sunday. So we have a 1 day break and we're back, and then we get the race at the fairground. So I'm really that's going to be a cool opportunity. I'm trying to get my family to go to that one so we can kind of make it like a little vacation, go to the fair, and just have a good time with it. But yeah, so super excited about that, and we'll see what happens.
I've actually been to the Springfield Mile when the fair was going on. It's definitely a good time. I was out there for the USAC Champ Car race a long time ago. But the one thing I think ARCA is smart on doing is they're on the mile dirt tracks where it's big enough that your cars are actually going to have some speed and probably have downforce. When they're trying to run the small half miles, those cars just aren't designed to hook up on that kind of stuff, and you can't give it any gas whatsoever. So I think the dirt races on the mile are probably going to be a much better show than what like the NASCAR at Bristol and everything else. And they're big, flat, mile tracks, but they still get some pretty good speed on there. So I'm going to assume you've probably never been on a mile dirt track before.
No. So that'll be maybe it'll be a cool kind of crossover between the two. And it's pretty straightforward here, and a lot of guys talk as far as the dirt goes on the straightaway. It's just that those corners, how you can carry that momentum and kind of keep it low and keep it rolling as best you can. And I mean, again, I love that. So I'm hoping that it translates over to kind of that feeling that I've experienced before, and I kind of fit right on at home.
Well,
so
Caleb,
you say you run Michigan right before that. Do you run the same car that you're going to run at Michigan, or
no?
You got to bring a special car ready set up for the dirt?
More than likely, what we'll do, because the how we're going to do it is to start the year off, the Daytona car, and so Daytona will go to Talladega, and then after Talladega, we'll pretty much rip it of its super speedway deal, and it'll become our kind of speedway intermediate car. So it'll go to Charlotte. It'll go to Kansas, Charlotte, Michigan, Kansas again, and that's all that car is. That we want to keep that car as clean as we can for the big tracks. Then essentially, 001 will probably fill in and probably go to those races more than likely, depending on more than likely that's what'll happen there, because if we get in a bad spot, and again, with us, this is a big commitment. This is a huge step, and we know that, and so it's like. We wouldn't want to. We hope we wouldn't have to face that, but there would be the conversation would be had. And again, I'm just keeping it honest, and there could be a potential where we have to start and park a race or something if we get ourselves backed up in a corner or something bad happens where our equipment just we're not going to send a car to a speedway track and it not be right. But we are committed to run. We're going to be locked in for owners points and for stuff like that. So. We definitely want to set ourselves up moving forward, so that's kind of where we're at. But our plan is to take a different car. We'll take 2 cars that weekend. Would be the ideal goal, and that way, once we get home, we would just be really kind of clean on the one, and they still would be purpose for what they are. So
very cool. That's that's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward. Probably the first time ever looking for the ARCA series to watch how you're doing. So, keep up the good work. Best of luck to you this year. That's really awesome. And, I know especially everyone in, your area, they're all excited to have you on there. So that's nice to have another full-time car, to see a new up-and-coming driver come out through the series. So that's great to have.
I appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you very much.
Well, Caleb, right before we wrap up, my dad and I gave a top 5 bucket list asphalt races for anybody to go to. He and I, it's interchangeable, but he had Indy 500 and Daytona 1 and 2. I had Daytona, Indy top 2. We talked about Monaco. I talked NASCAR Championship, Coke 600, those type of races. What is your, let's just give your bucket list, the number 1 bucket list asphalt track race?
I would probably go. So just because I don't know much about it, and I would love to educate myself, and it just looks really cool. I think going to the Le Mans, the 24-hour Le Mans, that would be super, super cool. And I love traveling anyway, so it'd be really cool to kind of go to another part of the country, meet a different group of people, and kind of just see how that works. So I would say maybe check out the 24-hour Le Mans. Then of course Indy 500. I've never been to the Indy 500 yet, so I just want to be part of it just because it's a great spectacle. I've been to the Daytona 500 3 or 4 times, so I would probably have to put the Rolex 24 up there just because I haven't been to it, and I just love Daytona. I have raced Daytona road course, so it'd be kind of cool to experience that. And yeah, kind of see it at night and the track's lit up and things of that nature. Let's see here.
Yeah, it's tough when you think about it,
Yeah,
right?
it's kind of tough when you get to thinking about it because I mean I'm part of all the NASCAR. I guess I would have to say I'd love to just check out an F1 race. I don't know. I really don't have a track per se on that. Maybe like Miami or something, just because I've never seen F1 cars live either. So I'm thinking for me as personally, what's on my bucket list that I haven't kind of achieved. And of course, can't go wrong. We'll put the fifth one there. It's just going to another Daytona 500. I mean, I'd love to, I'd love to be as many of those as I can be. So.
Well, that's awesome. And listen, we appreciate you hopping on here. We know you're really busy. Get that Daytona win and get some momentum propelled for this year. And good luck for the full-time year. And go get that ARCA championship and maybe get up into the Truck Series here coming up again.
Hey, listen, man. Thank y'all very much. I mean, we do have a lot of big things going. I mean, never thought we'd be in this position anyway. So to see how far we've come in a short period of time really has me motivated to kind of just, the potential is just limitless as far as our team. And I think future as a driver and the opportunity that I have to move up in NASCAR. So really looking forward to it. Thank you guys again for having me. And I look forward to seeing y'all at the track, and I appreciate y'all's support.
For sure, Caleb. All right, everybody, Caleb Costner.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Caleb.
Hey, I think that went pretty well. That's the first time we ever had a live guest come join in on the show, so that's really cool. I don't really know what's going on the bottom portion right here. Remove from call. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know how that worked.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. So hopefully everybody enjoyed that. Caleb obviously is one of the greatest personalities you can have for racing. You got to have somebody that is just upbeat, excited to just be there. It's the small town guy. You got to always root for him. So make sure you tune in to the ARCA Menards series this year. Caleb's going to be racing for a championship. So he's getting that third car. He's getting the right sponsorship. He's doing everything the right way. It's exciting to see, and like you were saying, we are actually excited for an ARCA series season, because usually we'll watch like I don't know, the Daytona ARCA race or the Talladega ARCA race, but we'll be watching every dang racing and tuning in to see them race.
Sure. One of the most important things, if anybody's new to racing and wants the one thing you have to have someone to root for. Well, you probably need two things. You need to have someone to root for, someone to root against.
Yep.
I mean, that's just you. Otherwise, if you just like, I don't know anybody, or I mean, you don't even have to know anybody. Tune in, pick a car. That's the one you cheer for. Hopefully, you pick one that's going to be at least a good car. You get somebody that's going to be getting lapped every couple of laps, like we saw at Martinsville. But but yeah, I mean, pick a driver. Have a favorite driver. Pick someone you don't want to root for. Which is generally Kyle Busch, but or Denny Hamlin.
hey, sorry, Chris. Talking about Chris Lambert, we're not trying to bash too much on Denny Hamlin. Just appreciate you being on the show. If you want to come back on again, please. And yeah, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. It's awesome for him to do that, and I appreciated him coming on here for a little bit. He's definitely got a busy schedule right now.
Especially running Michigan and then heading right down to the Springfield mile, going from a 2-mile asphalt to a 1-mile dirt track in a matter of 2 days. Talk about having, differences of the type of track. You don't get much more different than those two. So that's pretty cool. But the Springfield Fair, I don't know if the USAC Champ cars are still part of that, but that's definitely a neat dirt track.
Well, let's pivot to dirt racing. And in a few minutes, we'll be joined by the Hall of Famer sprint car driver Lance Dewease. So before we get into that, we talked about our top 5 asphalt bucket list races. Let's talk about our top 5 bucket list dirt races to get us into the dirt world. So, Dad, go ahead if you have them numbered from 5 to 1, like we just did.
Well, it's funny. Like I said, my bucket lists are the ones that I have never personally been to. So I actually have an honorable mention one for this one. I've been to the Knoxville Nationals a few times, but I've always been there working on a race car. I would love to go to Knoxville Nationals and just be a race fan.
You said honorable mention is your Knoxville Nationals?
Yeah, I didn't put them. I have the 5 I've never been to before.
Okay.
So I put them a little different. So as a fan, I put the Knoxville Nationals as a fan. I've been to Knoxville.
Yeah,
working on cars, but never just been there just to spectate.
Okay, so what do you got?
So at number 5, I've got the Dirt Late Model Dream.
Yep.
I think that's one of the big races in the Dirt Late Model community. I'm not a huge fan of them, but when you have all the top guys and top teams run together, they usually put on a really, really good show. So I think that would be a fun one. And number 4, coincidentally, is the 4 Crown Nationals at Eldora. Yep. You got the wing sprints, the non-wing sprints, the midgets, and the USAC Champ cars.
And you can't really go wrong with Eldora races.
No, there's a theme here on my top 5. So at number 3, you've been there, but I have not been to this track or the entire race, is the World Finals.
Yep.
So that's where you have the final Outlaw Series. We got the sprint cars, the late models, and the big block modifieds.
Dusty ass track.
There's just something cool about those big block modifieds. That's when I was little, we didn't have sprint cars. We had the big block modified. So that's a childhood memory that I remember having a couple of the cars up in our shops, and every now and then they'd have to move from one shop to the other one. I get to sit with Dad riding around the yard real quick and taking it up to the shop. So that's a pretty good memory. So number 2, I got the Eldora Million. How do you not want to go see a race at Eldora? $1 million to win, sprint cars.
Well, hopefully
I guess another honorable mention would be people as the King's Royal. I've been to the King's Royal a few times.
Yeah. Well,
we actually won the Wolfgang in 1985.
Well, hopefully they can bring back the Million race. I don't think it's going to be an annual thing. I think it's something they want to kind of keep as a special thing every so often. I don't think it's back this year. I don't believe so.
I didn't really check the schedule, but I think that would definitely be just
pretty hard.
Sprint cars racing for $1 million. That's got to be,
Yeah.
So, and my number 1, we talked about this earlier, is definitely the Chili Bowl.
Yep.
That's just something that's every dirt racer probably wants to see.
Well, so my top 5, and I've been to a couple of these races, so I went just in a general fan perspective, that top 5 that people need to go to. I'm putting number 5 is actually your number 1. I'm putting it the Chili Bowl, and the reason for that, I've got some really good races up there. But yeah, the Chili Bowl for us, again, it kicks off the racing season. It's awesome, and it's a long week for the drivers, and they go up to like P main or something. It is insane.
Oh, it's crazy.
They use like all the letters of the alphabet for all the mains. So
I do have the format here I wrote down just to kind of get an idea of how they're doing things.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So so that's my number 5. The number 4, and we've been to this. I think it's just such an iconic race. High Limit will actually be racing it this year. It's usually an all-star race, but since all-stars no more, it's the High Limit race, the Tuscarora 50 at Port Royal Speedway. 50-lap race. I mean, come on, racing for I think this year's up to 59,000, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And every year they go up $1,000, but it's if you can catch the weather the right time, because that's always a headache in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and that's another one. They got the fair going on. It's things to do outside the track, and Port Royal is quickly becoming probably the top tier track in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Williams Grove needs a lot of updating, and Port Royal has just been going ham the last few years, and with everything, they made that place so nice.
Yeah. And so the next one is actually a Williams Grove race, but it's such an iconic race, the Williams Grove National Open. It's we're PA Posse versus the World of Outlaws for $75,000 now. Every time we look at it, I swear the purse goes up more and more. And we'll talk to Lance here in a minute. He's got a few of these National Opens, and he'll talk about it. That is probably the biggest races that he has won. And I think he even said the latest one he had back in 2020 or 21. One of the two.
Yeah.
Whichever one he won, the latest one, he said that one was really special to him. So, yeah, the National Open at Williams Grove, I think, is definitely a top 5 for people to go to. It is a packed house, and you have Beer Hill versus Infield. Beer Hill sucks, Infield sucks. I mean, you don't get better than that. And then Rico Abreu chugging a beer from Beer Hill. I mean, come on, Williams Grove atmosphere doesn't get too much better than that. Number 2, I've got the Kings Royal at Eldora Speedway. I think anybody to have any chance to go to Eldora Speedway, take it, because just to see that track in all of its glory is amazing. We've been to the Truck Series race there on dirt. That was awesome. And it's a very dirty track, too. You get very dirty. When you go take a shower at your hotel after that, it'll be pure brown mud. It is gross.
Yeah, they're going to be throwing those towels away, that's for sure.
But, yeah, Kings Royal, just such an iconic race for such a long time. They literally name you royalty after you win it. So that's obviously top 5
and
for anybody
fact,
to go to.
The 50-50 purse is usually more than the race purse.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And then number 1, and you were talking about to see it as a fan, yes, but I mean, for these drivers, for everybody watching, the Knoxville Nationals, that's number 1 on my list. For anybody's list, it should be. I've never been to it, so obviously, definitely for my list, I want to see it. That's another one I want to check off. Just Kyle Larson went in last year. He, as excited as he was about the first one, he was so excited for the second one because only a few number of people have ever won it more than one time, and that just shows you how tough it is to win that, and just the raw history of it. So, yeah. So Knoxville Nationals, my number 1, and we'll talk to Lance here in a minute. He'll be joining us here in just a little bit. So. If anybody wants a little background on Lance, he's a National Sprint Car Hall of Famer. I believe he was inducted in 2015 or 16, if I'm not mistaken. He's been on the show before. Last year, he raced for multiple teams, so we'll talk about it with him, see which teams he'll be racing for this year and kind of what his schedule is looking like. And, yeah, Dad, and you've raced against Lance many times. You've run into Lance a lot too in the past as a mechanic and a crew chief.
Yeah, Lance is one of those guys who's a great driver, tough competitor, but he's a super nice guy. You want to not like him when you're racing against him, but it's just too hard. He's just he's a nice guy. He always takes time for everybody. He'll give credit to his crew, his fans. It's almost one of the things that's not like some of the drivers where they're always kind of.
Hey, and there he is.
Speaking of the devil, there he is.
Hey, speaking of the devil, Lance, everybody, National Sprint Car Hall of Famer Lance Dewease joins the show. Lance, welcome in. So yeah, this first time you actually do it with myself and my dad. So.
Yes, it is.
So how's everything going? And big year coming up in 2024. We want to kind of touch on that, and we've also been talking about the Chili Bowl a little bit. So how's everything going with you?
It's going pretty good. It's snowing here right now, so
yeah,
we have to fight that a little bit this weekend, but everything's going good.
So let's just go right into it. What are the plans for 2024? Obviously, 2023 was a very unique year just for everybody in sprint car racing. What's the plan, and which teams are you looking for running this year, and which races are highlighted on your schedule?
Well, right now I'm driving for the Barry Shear 12 car this year. The schedule is going to be relatively what I've done the last 7 years. A 40 race schedule, roughly, give or take. Mainly all the high dollar shows, time trial events. Might be doing some other things that I'm trying to work on that I haven't done in my career that I wouldn't mind trying before I retire. So we're working on some other stuff to hopefully see we can do some other different types of racing this year too.
Awesome. And we were actually kind of talking about the Chili Bowl, and that's why we kind of kickstarted this season right before the Chili Bowl. Is that something you've ever wanted to do, and have you raced in the midget series before?
I actually have raced a midget and won it at Williams Grove years and years ago. It was a wing midget back then. It was ARDC. So no, the Chili Bowl never really. I mean, it'd be neat to do, but at my age now, there's no way to do it. You know, there's young kids. It's a whole different type of racing. You know, my son might get a shot maybe sometime to go do it, but you know, it's, you know, for an old guy like me, you're just not putting yourself in that position.
Well, that's actually what I wanted to. That kind of transitions nicely. Cole's had a very, very good season last year, and one of his best seasons to date. What are the plans that he's got, and what is he? What are you kind of looking forward to with him this season?
Well, we're working hard right now. We leave at the end of the month for Florida Speed Week for him. So we're working hard. We just got done. His last race was Millbridge on December 16th, something like that it was. So we're actually working hard on trying to get prepared for Florida Speed Week for him. And, yeah, he has a ton of races on his schedule. You know, he ran 70-some last year. He could race 100 if we wanted to. But it's just a lot for me and Tommy Beavers, who takes him when I'm not around. And, yeah, it's just a lot. But, no, he's doing really good. He's progressing really well. Yeah, the thing I'm happy for and excited about is he don't need me. He needs me to get the car to the racetrack. That's it. I could leave. He does most of his own setups. He's really sharp on that. He knows what the car needs. It just kind of blows me away considering he didn't do none of this until 2 years ago. You know, wasn't involved in anything before that. Could care less about the races kind of until 2 years ago. So it's neat and, you know, makes me happy for him that, you know, he's going the mechanical driver route.
Right.
Because I honestly believe, you know, you need to do that to survive and succeed. There's only a few what I would call great mechanics. Jeff's dad, your grandpa, Ricky Warner, you know, Carl Kenzer. You know, there's only a few of those guys out there that you basically could hop in, drive the race car, and hop out and not even say a word if you didn't need to. You know, you look at guys that know how to work on the race cars, you know, they're pretty successful.
That's all. How old is Cole now?
He just turned 16 he's 16. He'll turn 17 this year in March.
Awesome. Well, Dad, you got some questions lined up for Lance?
Yeah. So, you know, how is it being the father of a race car driver now? Is it tougher on you watching him run, or is it more nerve-wracking when you're racing, or is it more nerve-wracking when he's racing?
Well, Jeff, I wasn't sure.
You've been around it so long, it's just...
Yeah, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel. And I actually been pretty calm most of the time with it. And some of it was from day one. The first time he ever climbed in the car at Millbridge, his first time ever driving anything, he blew me away. Like, I just... like, where does that come from? And, like, he ran lines, he drove correctly, and, I mean, his first time ever driving anything in his life at Millbridge, he got within 2/10 by the end of the night, got within 2/10 of where you need to be at Millbridge now. So it was really weird it looked natural to him. And, yeah, I credit a lot of it my best friend, Donnie Owens, who owned a 30C, who I drove for, I actually work for today, was blown away too, and he's a big supporter of Cole. And the iRacing is the only thing, besides, being around it, the iRacing that he does, is the only thing I can think that makes him understand that quick of understand how to drive a line on the racetrack and where he needs to be. So, I was pretty calm after that. I was pretty nervous there, but I was pretty calm after that, and I've been pretty calm more or less the whole time with him, because it just kind of blows me away that my wife showed me a note. Like I don't know what she's talking about. So, but yeah, it's just
her on.
She's on how it is. Now she's a nervous wreck with him.
Oh, I bet.
And actually, Donnie Owens, my boss and my best friend, he can't stand to watch him live. Like he come to Millbridge, the Winter Series show. He was on his way home and stopped in Millbridge, and he watched the heat race and had to leave. He couldn't watch him. Couldn't watch him run the wall and stuff like that. So it's been pretty easy for me, Jeff, to do it. I think now after 2 years, I think I get a little bit more into it because I see the talent, the possibility, I just want him to keep improving and be able to show that. So like a lot of it to me is I don't want to screw this up and not make sure stuff's right and make sure everything's in place for him to have a chance at succeeding, at whatever.
Well, I mean, it doesn't surprise me how well he's done. One thing people have asked, like, if we had to give new up-and-coming sprint car drivers advice, my thing was always to watch videos of you racing, and I said, importantly, watch your hands in the car, how smooth you are, and there's so much to be learned. You see a lot of these guys, they want to go in, they want to throw the car, and they get the hands going back and forth. You watch you race, your hands are very smooth most of the time. The car doesn't get out. And for sure, he's picked up a lot of that just watching you over the years. It's, by not getting the car sideways, you know how much faster you're going to go. And also people don't realize how good of a mechanic on the cars you were. I know you fabricated a lot of stuff. I know you built bird cage and stuff when I was helping with Craig and stuff like that. So, you talked about learning to work on your own cars. And yeah, for 99% of the people, I think that's hugely important that the driver has a general idea of what the car is doing, and then can kind of discuss it when you're done running. That's anybody successful. It's a whole team effort.
Yeah, it sure is, and I think where that plays an effect is not when things are going good, is when things start going bad. If you have a driver that you're willing to take the input from, that knows has been down the road of working on stuff and all, I think you could adjust and learn some stuff. We both me and you, Jeff, been around a long time, and around the racing part of it a good bit. When it's going good, it's easy.
Right.
I mean it's easy. I mean, when everything's going right, it is easy. There's not a whole lot to it. But when you start struggling, it can get really hard at times, and and that's when stuff starts happening, and you have to be able to kind of work together and try to figure that stuff out, and maybe get more open-minded than what you are when you're running good, because you've been around been around your dad and seen the success, and when it's right, it is easy, but when it's not, it is very hard.
Yeah, we're all a bunch of guys, we're all bullheaded. You don't want to, it's hard to admit when you're wrong, as far as even being a driver or a mechanic. Been through it a couple times both ways. It's definitely tough to do. But one thing you said about, maybe trying to run some different things. I remember, I don't know, 20 years ago, USAC cars came into Williams Grove, and I think you were in the 461. I think you started about last.
23rd.
Race.
23rd.
I was going to say, I think you got second out of that.
Yeah, and
is that something you'd like to do again? Maybe run non-wing sprint cars again, or
not non-wing sprint car. Silver Crown car maybe. Something longer races.
Yeah, that would be neat.
Maybe a mile track. I would love to race a champ car at Port Royal. that would be the only thing I would do without a wing. No, I would not race it. Yeah, those guys without wings nowadays are unbelievable. We stood when we were at Eldora this past year, racing. I stood there with Cassidy and Donald and watched the USAC non-wing guys run. I mean, they're just crazy, and how hard they can run them cars. It's just unbelievable, and it just blows me away compared to the time you were talking about. Their pace in those cars are way faster now, just like our cars are and everything else is, but it's a whole different breed of stuff. That Pacific race that you're talking about was, we started 23rd, got next last qualifying spot in the B main, and drove up through. And what was funny about that was the car that beat me was the Zemco car with Billy driving it with your dad working on it, and I got to 4th. And Billy was right in front of me, and we were running them down, and we were really moving good at that point. And we had a red, and we didn't know no different. Under the red, you could change tires. Well, we didn't do nothing. We were happy already. We were already happy. I mean, we felt pretty good. Well, I had a Air Racer 33 on. Well, Billy and your dad and them, they put a set of 23s on with 5 laps to go. Well, it might have been a little bit longer than that. Right? And we took off, and Billy, where did Billy go? Like, I didn't know, did he drop out or something? Like, I didn't know where he went. Well, it took me 5 laps to get going. I got going. I got to 3rd. I got to 2nd. Well, when I got to 2nd, I realized, shit, Billy's leading this thing. Well, 2 to go, I was starting to really mint a little bit. So I swear I drove it this much harder into 3. And I brushed the outside fence. I said, okay, we're 2nd. I'm done. Because it just that quick, you overdrove it that fast and it was gone. But yeah, they both said 23s and just drove by everybody on the start and left them for a while. Then we got going with the tires and everything else. But it was neat, to do that. It was, I wouldn't want to do it all the time. There's only certain places I would ever done that at. But it was neat to do it at that time.
Yeah, it was nice because there was really only just a handful of the local racers that came out to run against those guys. That's back when, Leland McSpadden was running, Doug Coletta was actually running sprint cars at the time. So it was pretty neat, seeing all that and what they thought of how big Williams Grove is compared to what, the kind of stuff. The thing I thought was funny, their engines, they all have down nozzles and everything, and we're trying to detune these things something off. We're taking down nozzles out, just running up nozzles just so it has better throttle control and everything.
Well, that was a funny thing that that's what I was getting ready to say, that you could sit there during qualifying and not even be looking at the track and knew which car was a Central PA car and which car was a USAC car. Or it might have been CRA. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, I don't remember which one it was.
Yeah, because our stuff had a whole different sound to it than their stuff. Their stuff sounded detuned, not making as much power compared to our stuff. It was a weird feel. That's the first time I ever drove. Well, would have been the second time I ever ran without a wing. And at the flag stand, when you lift at the flag stand, the car just picks up speed because we're so used to the air brake of the wing and everything, and it was neat. I really enjoyed it. Don't really need to do it again, so it was a lot of fun.
But yes, I did see that the Silver Crown, they got the race at Port Royal. Hopefully, you get something for that. That would be an awesome race for you to be in. There's nobody better Port Royal than you are, so I think people would be, jumping at the bit to put you in that car just for the knowledge that you have of that track.
Well, we're working on some things. We'll see what happens, and it's just, I wouldn't mind doing a mile race. I think it would be really fun. I think I'd be very good on the mile with how straight, you have to run them there, and being 100 laps. I think plays into my mindset better than some people's. So,
do they still run them at the Springfield Mile? I didn't.
Yes, I think so. I think they
just
have
had an ARCA racer,
Caleb
Costner on, and they go from Michigan to run the Springfield Mile within 2 days. I don't know if that was the whole same weekend that they may have the.
They run 2 miles, I think. Still, there's 2 left.
DuQuoin
Later in the year.
I think they used to have the Hoosier 100, but that's now going to be, I believe, an asphalt race at IRP or whatever it's called now. Lucas.
Yeah, that's a whole different car even.
Yeah.
So.
But.
Well, Lance, real quick, touch on last year going through multiple teams and everything. How do each team's, I guess, prepare and approach every car, and how is it as a driver driving in different cars, different chassis completely on these teams, and how did you feel like you transitioned into those teams when you got in the seat?
Well, Zach, it was a weird year, as you said at the beginning.
Yes.
It was a weird year for a lot of people. Very, very weird year for me. Something I'd never experienced.
Right.
With how it happened, when it happened, unexpectedly, all that end of it. But with that said, when I climbed in the Macri car, that was a quick deal, unexpected, for the million, and that was way different. Everything's different about it. And as I tell everybody, you couldn't get farther on the spectrum of the driving styles between me and Anthony.
Yeah.
So, that was just. I was doing Nick a favor. He needed a driver. It was last minute. We weren't racing.
Right.
Donald told me he was fine with it. I said I'd do it for Nick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was a weird deal. It's honestly a weird deal. I'd never been involved in something like that. Where it was just weird. You show up the biggest race ever for a sprint cars. It was just weird. I felt bad for everybody involved. Felt bad for Joe and the whole team. And with that said, at Eldor, we were, at times we were all right. Most of the time we weren't very good. A lot of it was me. I don't have a whole lot of laps around Eldor, but a lot of it was me. The track conditions didn't help somebody like me that much. But we did show speed at times. And then when I got fired and Nick put me in the car to help me out while they decided what they would do. We got speed, we got fast. We were in position to win probably 3 or 4 shows easily. So I was pretty happy there. But what people don't understand is there's a huge difference when you go from one car to the next.
Yes. Especially
the engine programs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest difference in all the stuff I did at the end of the year. I went from driving car an engine program that is so smooth to something basically arguably the best engine builder in the country in Charlie Garrett's stuff.
Yeah.
As far as when it comes to power. And they're just way, way different feels. And you can't make them drive the same because the engines are not built that way. Charlie's stuff's made it makes a lot of top end power, makes a lot of horsepower. It makes it run out the top. Something I never felt. I mean, like that thing of his would run out the top. But it didn't exactly race sometimes the best either. Right. So you had to kind of figure that out. And you're trying to figure this out in a short period of time.
Yeah.
Against really good cars. At the end of the year, all the big shows, you're trying to do that, and figure all that out in a short period of time. And, Joe worked really hard, trying to get me comfortable. We started getting me comfortable, and, our results showed it. We had a win at the Grove. We had seconds at, outlaw shows at Port, and, we had speed. So, that was nice. And then when I hopped in the 12 car, at Susky, that was a weird deal because that was one of those warm up is time trials. So I'm climbing in a new car, never even made a lap in.
Yeah.
Again, different car, different motors, a third different combination from the other two. And we were all right. I was wasn't happy by the end of the night with what we finishing, but a lot of that was on me. I just went the wrong way with the race car, but we were okay for the first time in the car. And then turned around and had to do it again with the 20 car that we didn't plan on racing until 2 days before that race.
Yeah.
And exact same thing. Now, at least that was a Maxim. So I've been in a Maxim before. But that would have been the fourth different brand of engine that ran in a 3-month period, say. And we actually we timed really good for our group. And, ran okay. For the first time in the car. Sean Michael, seemed like he was pretty happy with it. I enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun. And it was just, it's just so hard. And it, again, was time trials, hot laps. So I don't even get a chance to, take 2 laps and figure the car out. My 2 laps was time trials. So, but that car had a little bit more comfortable feel to me. And I'm just going to assume it was because it was a Maxim. And I drove a Maxim for 7 years. So the other cars were Triple X and Eagle. And, it just, everything has a little bit different feel.
Well, if obviously anybody can make it work, it'd be obviously a Hall of Fame driver as yourself. One thing, if you got a couple more things, if you got the time, I just wanted to real quick talk about what you thought about when I talked to you before. It was before the whole high limit started. What did you think about the high limit racing this year, and what do you think about the high limit series taking over for the All Stars? And you think that would be a good sign for sprint car racing as a whole?
I don't know. Honestly, I thought their midweek stuff was okay. I don't know how that's going to survive unless it's all based off of the streaming stuff. Because when I sit there and watch those midweek shows, there's only a few of those places that had great crowds.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those places didn't have enough people to cover the purse. So I don't know, their sponsorship programs and all that stuff, how that works, but I thought the high limit deal part of it, the racing was good. It was pretty good racing. I wish they would have done their all-star deal and all a little bit different. I feel bad for the guys in Ohio, Indiana, because they kind of got screwed in this whole deal with them doing away with the all-stars. And, I know Fast is trying to step up some and help out with the Ohio Speed Week and other stuff, but I wish they would have left the All-Stars intact as far as the name and the brand, and they still could have had the high limit as their midweek stuff.
Yes,
because it is 2 separate stuff still. And I just don't. There's a lot of money being put out and thrown around, and I'm not in the end to know how all this money is coming or where it's coming from. I mean, and Zach, you've been around a while, but Jeff's been around as long as me. We've both seen this before. And right now they have 16 cars traveling, quote, full time with them. That ain't gonna happen. That won't happen. That won't stay. There will be teams drop off. Unless there's something there that the public don't know. If the tow money or whatever they're doing to attract these guys. I don't understand the attraction to it.
Right.
It's just, it's a good series. It looks like it's going to be a good series. They got great people in place now. The Mike Hess hire is huge for them, I think. But I don't know what makes them different than the World Outlaws, as far as team-wise.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know what they offer. I don't know what the Outlaws offer. I've never been in that position. But I don't understand the attraction to it. Other than if Brad and Kyle's are good salespeople, and there's stuff there that I don't know about. I think their schedule is a little messed up, but some of it's they have to get races where they have to get them. So
but
it'll be interesting to see of the 16. I would lay money they'll lose 4 to 6 of them by midway to 3/4 way of the year, because it happens in all series.
Yeah, if Kyle ever wants to come on this show and explain exactly what's the ins and outs of the High Limit series and everything, that's fine. And I think Dad mentioned it earlier that there was a series tried to do this against the Outlaws before, and it got dissolved a long time ago. And I think you kind of touched on that too. So it'll be interesting to see if what can happen with the High Limit series and everything. Before I let you go, my dad and I just did this. We did top 5 bucket list dirt races, either for yourself or as a fan. Number 1 for me was the Knoxville Nationals, and Dad had the Chili Bowl as a fan to go see. For you, what is your bucket list race to either see or drive in?
Number 1 would be Knoxville Nationals. There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
Eldora has its own. What do I want to use? It's its own deal to me. People show up at Eldora because they love Eldora, but it's not the Knoxville Nationals.
Right.
That would be number 2 because it is pretty unreal out there at Eldora with the amount of people that show up in the middle of nowhere, just like Knoxville.
Yes.
Bucket list for me. The Chili Bowl would be nice to go see it. I wouldn't mind going to see it once. Everybody tells me to go see something early in the week and don't stay for the actual, the end of the week. But I personally, a lot of people don't know this. I've always wanted to do the little 500. And that
was one of my bucket lists from Anderson, Indiana.
I would love to race that race. Just to do it. Other than that, it's hard for me to say a bucket list because, I love Tuxford 50. I love Williams Grove National.
I had those 2 on there for mine.
Yeah, so, it's, as far as me as a bucket list, Knoxville is the top of the list by far.
Yeah.
And then, to me, probably if I had to put something else second, it would be the Little 500. I would love to do the Little 500 sometime.
Anybody listening wants to pick them up for that race, y'all give them a call. Listen, Lance, we appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your day to talk to us. Hopefully you have an awesome season. Excited to see what you do. Excited to see what Cole does too. And hopefully I'll get up with you when you come to Millbridge this season, and we'll talk then.
Well, thanks for having me on, Zach. Thanks, Jeff. Nice seeing you guys. Stay warm down there in South now. I know Jeff is warm.
Yeah, he's good.
He's good.
It's only 70 couple here today.
70 couple?
Yeah.
I know it's rough. You had to put a hoodie on, didn't you, Jeff, today? To go outside at 70.
I go outside, yeah, for sure.
You're probably a true Floridian now, aren't you? You've been down there long enough. Your northeast has gone out you, and if it gets 50, you're freezing probably.
Oh yeah. That gets cold down here.
All right.
So now, where you said Cole, you're coming down. Where's Cole racing down here?
Hendra County. He has a two race there on February 1st and 2nd, or 2nd, 3rd. I forget the dates. Friday and Saturday. Then we run 5 nights out 6 at Marion County, which is over at Ocala.
Okay.
It's a half mile from Ocala dirt track. We were there last year. Actually put some really good racing on. I was kind of impressed by how the racing was there last year. So we're excited. It's 5 days of, quote, the Florida Speed Week, and then Hendra added their own 2-day show before that. So we'll be down there from, basically week 1. We have one off day. We'll be able to go to Evolution, watch the sprint cars race. We'll be down there for that. But it's over Ocala mainly.
Well, there you go, Dad. Maybe you get a chance to get up to one of those races this year.
That would be pretty awesome. Not that far from Ocala.
No. Well, actually, Hendra's probably a little bit farther than Ocala for you.
I'll be on a cruise ship that weekend.
Oh, really? Okay.
So he living it up down there, Lance. But yeah. Again, we appreciate you coming on, and anytime you want to come on, just let me know. Everybody, National Sprint Car Hall of Famer Lance Dewease. Lance, you have a good one.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks, Jeff. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I was just letting. I was just sitting back and
Lance
just
is such a fierce competitor. You want to not like him when you're racing against him, but he's just such a super nice,
you guys
very genuine guy.
You guys had it rolling there for a minute, and I was just sitting back and watching you guys go through memory lane. I'm like, all right, let's see it. Let's just see what they're. So that was cool to see. Yeah. Maybe you'll get a chance to get down there and see his son.
Like young sprint car driver coming up. Everybody wants to drive like Kyle Larson. Everyone wants to be able to run the wall like Anthony Macri. Watch Lance Dewease.
If you run the bottom, if you think you run the bottom, watch Lance. He runs the bottom.
Yeah.
There ain't nobody like it that runs the bottom.
To learn your car control. Yeah, if you want to learn to run a cushion, don't watch Lance. Younger Lance could run the cushion with anybody up against the wall. Lance got a lot older. You move to the bottom. But if you want to learn car control and how to keep a car straight and basically out of trouble, and watch how Lance and watch his hands in the car. You watch the car, you can't really tell how much is going on in the cockpit because you don't really see it moving. But you'll see the guys with their arms going back and forth, and he's just very smooth and just
Yep, just nice and easy.
That's what I said. It doesn't surprise me. Cole's watched that his entire life, and so he knew exactly what his hands should be doing in that car. So that doesn't surprise me how fast he adapted to that.
Especially him running, and it's two different tracks. He does it like no one else. It's turns 3 and 4. 3 and 4 on Port Royal and 3 and 4 on Williams Grove. Nobody else has corner entry and exit like he does at those tracks. Now, is it a good thing? Yes. Is it a bad thing sometimes? Yes. It just depends on the way the track is. If there is a bottom that is racy, because if there's no bottom, it gives him more of a disadvantage. And he actually mentioned that at Eldora. The track conditions was one thing that allowed him not to race too well. There wasn't too much of a bottom this year, the week of Eldora, and it continuously faded away the more and more the track got run in. So that was working against one of his advantages, like he was mentioning. Real quick, Dad, I got to do the shout out to another partner that we have, because that's apparently what you do on podcasts. And I want everybody to see me sip on this thing right here. It's W Energy, and actually the drink I have is a W Hydro blend. You wouldn't like it. It's watermelon Lada. Michael likes it. But you don't like watermelon stuff. But they also have other stuff too. This is just a hydration one. It's not an energy one, but they have a bunch of energy. So let me just put this up here. So there's W Energy, and you can actually see that promo code on the screen, W.GG, and use my promo code ZBHP. You can get 10% off your order if you order anytime right now. So it's definitely good stuff. And I mean, it's a small business and made in America, so why not go do it? So check them out, and use that code and get you some money off. Basically ends up being free shipping for you, more or less. So that was fun. We had those guests on there. It was awesome. And if anybody's seeing this right now, I'm actually going to drop the link on here for where you can get this nice T-shirts or any type of merchandise, because we big time up in here. And so if you want to check out, you want to get some merchandise like this, simple white T-shirts, actually really, really comfortable. Here's the website for it right there at the bottom that you can definitely see, because it's so crazy. Let me change that color for you guys so you can see it. I might have made it worse. So it's on Teespring, and right now use the code podcast and you'll get 15% off your order. So I got that, guys, hooked up for you guys. So go get anything you want. I've got all sorts of fun stuff on there, but I really like this t-shirt, and that's the cheapest thing on there, and you can be cheap ass. That's fine. I'm cool with that. Definitely comfortable, and why not try to support the little man here. So I'm going to leave that on there for you guys if you want to check it out. But maybe Lance will text Larson and have him on and talk about the ins and outs of the High Limit series, and just have him on. That'd be fine. I'm sure Larson's not busy and would definitely come on this.
No, yeah, I'm sure he got nothing going on.
Well, actually, I think right now is the downtime for him. I'm sure he's doing some stuff with High Limit, administrative stuff, more than likely, between he and Brad on that.
But it was kind of interesting to get somebody that's, like Lance, his opinions on the whole high limit thing. And so it's I didn't even consider about the Ohio and Indiana guys that kind of made their living with the All Stars. So that definitely has
what
kind of changed.
What series did you kind of alluded to earlier that the World of Outlaws tried to go against the World of Outlaws, but ended up dissolving because they just could not keep up with that?
If I remember correctly, it was called the USA Series. And they pulled, and I don't exactly remember what was all going on. Somehow they had a beef with Ted Johnson, who owned the World of Outlaws at the time. But they pulled Kinzer, Sammy, the big names, and they tried to run their series, and it just didn't last for whatever reason. That was like the first time in 20 years that Steve Kinzer didn't win a World Outlaw title. I think that was Dave Blaney's probably first title when he wasn't racing against Steve or Sammy. So it's sort of one of those things. But right now, Lance talked about having 16 cars, and so they're going to rely on having a good field of local cars to come run with them. And in Pennsylvania, which they don't actually have a whole lot of races in PA.
Yeah.
Getting the cars isn't the issue. You get some, and probably Ohio is probably not a big deal, but some of these other places, like are the Ohio guys going to travel, a couple states over to run,
Yeah, like
I don't know how
Midwest or
much.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many local shows that pay enough money that could support full-time racers in Ohio. I'm not that familiar with their whole payouts or anything like that. So it's definitely going to be.
Well,
but then again, you've got to look at the Outlaws are kind of the same way, except they have the name and the reputation that people say, "Hey, World Outlaws, let's go see that race."
Yeah, people that don't know sprint car racing, they know what World of Outlaws means because they've heard of it. But if there's anybody, I guess, that could be a major competitor with it, and somebody that knows it, is between Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson. If they know the history of the series dissolving too, and so obviously they'll learn from what happened there and see if they can figure out how to make it work. And the best chance of it working is between those two. Well, they're future Hall of Famers. Well, Larson probably in two different halls, but if anybody can figure it out, I think it's those two. But ending on one more thing, and I didn't even prepare you for this, so and you can't Google this, but I want to do a little bit of fun stuff every now and then like this. So, Dad, can you guess the top 5 highest paid NASCAR drivers of 2023?
Top 5.
And this is via Rookie Road.
Are we talking just overall money, merchandise sales, or just?
It just says highest paid drivers.
And just NASCAR?
Yeah, we're just doing NASCAR. And you don't have to give an order. Just pick a name, and I'll tell you if it's on.
I would think Chase Elliott would be in there.
He is not. He is at number 8 with only 8 million. Yeah, only.
Oh, poor guy. How about Martin Truex Jr.?
Yes, he is at number 4 with 10.4 million.
Kyle Busch?
Kyle Busch is number 1 at 16.9 million.
Wow, that's impressive. Denny Hamlin?
Yep, he's number 2 with 13.1 million. 2 more. And this is from 2023.
And they were all current drivers, or not necessarily?
They were current then, yes.
Okay. I know merchandise sales, Junior's probably still.
Probably, yeah.
So, wow.
It's not that easy, is it?
I would like to say Larson, but I bet he's not in the top 5.
He's number 7. Well, he's tied with Chase Elliott. They're number 7 and 8 tied, yeah. You want me to give you a hint?
Yeah.
He just retired.
Oh, Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, number 3 with 10.9 million. Now you're just missing the number 5. If you need a hint, let me know.
Is it Brad?
Yes.
Brad
Brad
K?
Keselowski at number 5 with 9.4 million. I thought that was a little fun way to
Yeah,
end
that's
this
interesting.
little
That's
live show. So I might be doing
so
a little.
that's obviously going by what they make. That's probably not.
I think it's
as
just
a
their
t-shirt
actual
sale.
their contract. I'm not because if it's overall money, I would probably say Denny Hamlin because he owns 2 Cup Series teams. Yeah, that's probably.
But interesting fact about Denny Hamlin: Dale Earnhardt Sr. sold merchandise last year than Denny Hamlin did.
That doesn't surprise me.
No,
Well, Dad,
I saw that somewhere. I was like, that's funny.
Well, Dad, I think that'll wrap it up for this live show. Anybody that's tuning in, whenever and wherever you're tuning in from, you can still drop in comments down below. We will be doing another top 5 list on the next one. The next podcast will release not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after, because this will count as our first week, and we'll kind of discuss about the Chili Bowl and highlight little bits of things there. And as we continue to prepare for the Daytona 500 and getting ready for the entire racing season. So make sure you like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow on all social media platforms and wherever this is streaming, of course. And if you want to listen to something on your drive to work or from work, make sure you follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, all those podcasting places. So, Dad, until next time, season 2 has kick-started, so let's get it going right.
Yep. Before you know it, you're going to be, waist deep in all kinds of racing. So,
Oh, yeah.
looking forward to it.
Big year coming, so we'll see you guys next time.